Hey guys, so I know this is earlier than when I usually do this live, but I am currently driving a very long distance. So I'm doing this when I can and where I can, so I'm doing this now. If you can't tell, I have a lot of stuff in my car. I am moving out of my parents' house right now. It happened very suddenly. And I actually do want to share this story, even though I'm still in the process of kind of like really working through it as to everything that's happened. But there were a couple of things that happened, and it really it really took it was really about standing true to my boundaries and just staying true to myself and not betraying myself or my inner child or my future self all in one moment. And as many of you know, this entire account was created really honestly to help people dealing with narcissistic mothers, but narcissistic parents in general, and really the abuse that they put onto their kids, especially for first generation Americans like myself. And the narcissistic abuse is one of the trademarks for it is really just the low-key kind of gradual tolerance you gain for it the longer you stay in there. And I really noticed this with my siblings. I myself, because I went away to college so soon, I never really had a very high tolerance for it to begin with. And then when I went away to college and I stayed away from home for medical school, and then and then I just stayed away from home, I was constantly had the contrast of what I saw were normal relationships, the people that came into my life who knew just me, and then this like twilight zone I would enter with my mother and my parents and this family I was born into. And this is this is not a declaration on whether someone is a good or bad person. That your intention is yours, and I don't know what it is. But I do know that narcissism comes from a very wounded place. That being said, it does not that is not condoning their behavior. They are not allowed to say disgusting things to you and then come back and apologize like as if that's going to make it okay. They're not allowed to call the cops on you when you have done nothing, saying that they feel unsafe. And then when you take matters into your own hands, and this is what happened, when you take matters into your own hands and then you stand up for yourself, not dragging anyone else into it, not asking for any help, being able to do it on your own, and having people that will help you along the way that are not them, and then having a missing persons report filed on you when you are perfectly fine and you're not missing, you left. So yes, that's exactly what happened to me. I've been very open about this. I wanted to leave almost as soon as I got there, because the other hallmark of a abused child is the more distance you have, and you somehow, and when you get love bombed again, especially with narcissistic abuse, there's that love bombing that happens when you gain some distance and they try to bring you back into the fold, which is exactly what happened to me. Looking back on it now, this was a years long mission on my mother's part to make me feel good, give me all of these things that she thought I wanted, or that whatever, however that get justified in her head, I really don't even know, and I don't really care. And then resisting, and you finally fall into the trap, and it is a trap, thinking that maybe she's changed. And guess what? They don't. It takes so much work for a narcissist to change, so much work. This is why it's like in the psychological community, it's like a psychiatric community, it's one of the hardest conditions to treat, because it is so hard to come face to face with yourself and understand that you have how you've been. When you're an abuser, it's not very easy to come to grips with the fact that you're an abuser. And almost all abusers across the board, I've seen this and I've studied it, whether they're famous or not, small scale or on a major scale, they are narcissistic. Underneath it all, that is the one common thread they all have. And this abuse is so, it's terrifying. And I'm getting victim shamed by my family, saying that I'm the reason that she acts this way, when they all know that she will act this way whether or not I'm there. I just happen to be the most convenient target. So this time when my mother called the cops because she was feeling unsafe when she was coming at me, and I was just standing up for myself. Literally, all I ever did was stand up for myself. And I know there's two sides to every story, or there's a million sides to every story, but gaslighting is their predominant way of making everyone feel sorry for them. And then after the cops came and they took the report, the cops even saw me. Like, they made me feel seen. They understood what was going on. And in that it wasn't what it seemed like, what she was trying to make it out to be. She honestly looked like a crazy person the way she was talking at the cops. It was just a scene oh my God. And like, this is, for a lot of people, this is going to feel like airing dirty laundry. I don't see it that way, because this kind of abuse gets swept under the rug and hidden all the time. And I am not here for it anymore. I walked out. I left that home because I am not the one who's feeling, I was the one who was feeling unsafe. I was not making her feel unsafe, other than just being who I was and not tolerating to be treated like shit. Like, it's worse than shit. And so I left. I packed up my things. It literally took 4 or 5 hours. I packed everything that I could find of mine, and I stuck it in my car, got my pets, and I left. And I've been driving on and off pretty much since Friday night, and I will, they filed a missing persons report. I'm not answering any of their phone calls. I'm periodically texting my brothers, but I've told them I don't want you guys involved. This is going to be much worse for you the more you know. I don't know if they'll understand where I'm coming from. Again, that's not my business. I did something for myself today that I have fantasized about since I was 7 years old, the first time she kicked me out of the house. And I had no idea what I was going to do at 7 years old. It was at night in my neighborhood that I was never allowed to go around the corner by myself. And I didn't know what I was supposed to do. From that time forward, I've always been like, if I ever get the chance to leave, I will leave. And this time I had everything. I didn't need her, didn't need anyone, and it was enough. And the reason I'm talking about this is because if there is one person who ends up across this video today, or at any point, and is in a cycle of abuse, and it has taken me a very long time, and I'm still working on integrating this into who I am, because I've never seen myself as a victim. I just never have. And I was not a victim when I left. If anything, it was the strongest thing I've ever done for myself, because I came through for my inner child when she had been feeling unsafe for months. My complex PTSD had come back with such a force that the first night when I was sleeping and I heard footsteps above me, I could not fall asleep, because that was the sound that I was always on guard for when my mother was around, was footsteps. And that is my trigger. And if you don't know what complex PTSD is, PTSD that we know of, that gets talked about, is really is usually gets traced back to one or like a major traumatic event like war. Or being taken hostage or something like that. Complex PTSD is something that abused kids or people who go through a cycle of abuse, domestic violence abusers will go through this, which is it comes from a series of abuse, a series of abusive episodes. So there's not one thing that triggers the PTSD. It's a bunch of things. And that's exactly what it came back full force. My body had been telling me for months that you need to get out. And it took me up until 2 days ago to be able to do this. And guys, I can't tell you how proud I am. I am scared, but I know that I am going to be okay, because I stood up for me. And that is the hardest thing to do in times like this, is standing up for yourself and saying, no, my boundary is abuse. You do not get to abuse me anymore. I am not available for this anymore. Like I said, this may trigger some people. I'm sorry if it does, or really not sorry, because if it does, it's something that you may need to hear, but also hear it hear it when you feel like you can hear it and not lash out at it. This is not easy. I've been really, I'm very quick at integrating things. This is taking on me a lot longer because this is really big, and I'm still in a state of very high stress. So when it ebbs and flows, I'm able to integrate some parts of it and not others. But really recognizing that I've been abused my whole life by my mother, and it's not the abuse that really comes with bumps and bruises, although I have had those. But emotional abuse and psychological abuse is the worst kind because it leaves no marks, and you look fine. It's like mental illness. You know, you look fine, but you're not. And I felt seen by the cops, like the woman who took the missing persons report and the cops who came to the house. Like, they saw me, and that's really what I think maybe gave me just that last bit of strength to actually follow through. And to come through for the little girl who tried to commit suicide twice, but and was just at her wit's end with this life, and she just wanted out, but she got up and she lived one more day. If she hadn't, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have been able to come through for her in the way that I did. And it's hard and it sucks, but it's also the best thing I've ever done for myself. And I will not make any apologies for getting myself out of an abusive situation. I will not be victim shamed by anyone, particularly family members. But, you know, family is not just a group of people who live under the same roof. That's not family. Or even if you have the same parents, that still doesn't make you family. So, yeah, I'm working through this. It's not, like I said, it's not easy. But in case there was anyone who needed a sign or inspiration, or again, just to feel seen in this moment, you're not making it up. It is real, and you can do this. And that's really what I wanted to say today. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. But otherwise, I will hopefully see you guys soon.